Tonight on Making It Here, it's all about communications. We've got parrots, we've got telephones, we've got magazines, and yeah, we even have one of these. And it's all coming up next on Making It Here.
Making It Here is brought to you by the members of WGBY.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Making It Here. I'm George Murphy, and we're in Greenfield, Massachusetts today. You know, several years ago, there was a group called the Five-Man Electrical Band, and they came out with a song called Signs, Signs, Everywhere There's Signs, and boy, no matter where you go, you run into them. Right out in front of this little shop, I counted 27 of them out in the road. Here's one of the guys that's responsible for all that signs. Dan Hale is the name?
It is. Hi,
nice
George.
to meet you, Dan. What's your sign?
My sign is making signs. Many of them, and we do all kinds of types of signs, and certainly here's one that is in process now, and it's almost completed.
Now, how long have you been doing this?
I've been in the sign business about 14 years.
So you've been working here for 14 years?
I've been here for 3.5 on my own. Prior to this, I worked in
so this is your
shop.
own baby,
Yeah,
right?
It is.
So you got all the training somewhere else, and here you are.
And that's the American way, isn't it? How
business
we
is good.
Do things.
Yeah, business is good.
So it is. It's busy.
Why do you make so many signs? Nowadays, how come things aren't just made out of metal and last forever?
Well, they are lasting longer and longer all the time, but business has changed. Their model changes, their logos change. They have to update and do things to keep their image fresh.
You've got a great example here. This is, I guess, one of your creations here. Patty cake, lunch and pastry, it says there.
Yep.
Now, something like this, how does this start?
Well, something like this, first of all, it starts at the computer with design.
Right.
So, and I could take you over to the computer now and show you where that starts.
Okay, yeah, we'll get an idea where it starts and go through the whole process and find out how you make a hunk of wood and some plastic into this beautiful sign. So we're going to head over to the computer, get started over there. Let's go to the computer.
Okay.
We're back once again in Greenfield, Massachusetts. I've got Dan Hale from Dan Hale's Sign Shop. And what is this contraption you got here, Dan?
Well, this is our digital printer, and you can see we're printing a banner on this printer today, and for a local company.
So this prints out sign on, what is that, paper it's printing on?
This is a vinyl banner material that'll then be cut, once it's done printing, be cut and then hemmed and grommeted.
Now, in the good old days, this thing didn't exist, right?
No.
So if you wanted that sign that's being printed out down here, you'd have to get out some paintbrushes or silk screen, or what would you do?
They would use butcher paper and poster paints. Yeah.
Now, aside of the quality, the technical quality of the signs looking so much nicer and so on, is there a time factor in here? In other words, that sign that we were looking at earlier probably would take, we'll say, 2 days to make. 15 years ago, it would take what, 2 weeks?
Probably. You wouldn't get the definition and the clarity that we have now.
All right.
Yeah.
You mentioned before we were heading over to a computer, and I stopped and I wanted to see this. I guess that's over here with one of your cohorts. And this is basically, I guess, this is the sign that we saw on the table before, right?
This is a version of what the customer came in with as an idea.
Okay.
And we've certainly defined this into the sign that we see on the table there. And here we are with the final design.
So you come up with a bunch of ideas. The customer comes in and says, "Hey, I like that. That's the one."
Right.
All right. He likes the colors. Now, if this was mine and I wanted that green, could you just automatically change it to green?
Sure. Yeah.
Really? Well, you don't really have to do it now because I don't want to mess you up. But that's one of the advantages.
Right. The customer will come in with a concept or an idea, or sometimes they don't have any idea what they want to do, but they know they need a sign, and they have either a shape in mind, or they have a space that the sign needs to fit into. And what we do is design to fit those shapes and those spaces for where their sign's going to go.
All right, so this is your picture. You determine the size of the sign, and I guess this machine we looked at earlier, you're doing something else here, that would print it up on here?
This particular sign was printed and done with this machine, yes.
And the sign, what do you do with that sign? Now, do you put it on like metal or on?
This particular sign's a wood sign. And what we do is we take the perimeter of the sign and draw a pattern from a drawing plotter, and then that goes back to the wood shop to get cut.
You have a wood shop here?
We do have a wood shop.
Oh, show me your wood shop.
Okay,
this gets
great.
better all the time. This way, huh? Oh, here's the big wood shop here. Look at the size of this place. Oh, now this doesn't look like the same design.
Right. This is a different sign. We've used the same process. The pattern's been drawn. We've come in. We've cut the shape, and it's been glued up and sanded.
So this is the first Deerfield church. Now, how does someone like this? This is a classic area, you know, the Deerfield and so on. Do they come to you because obviously you do quality work, but how does someone like you wind up with a project like this?
Well, I guess it's because of the type of work that is out there that we have done. That's very similar to this. We're good at kind of capturing an era. So in this case, you have a church that's pretty historic, and I think we've kind of captured a historical shape and design for this.
I'm sure you'd be proud of this guy here. Now, what is this? Is this birch or what?
This is a solid piece of Spanish cedar.
Wow.
This is almost 2 inches thick, finished,
right.
And we use Spanish cedar because it's very resilient. It lasts well outside. It paints well, and it's a nice wood to work with. And oftentimes they're done sandblasted too, so this would be a good wood to use for sandblasting.
You said it paints well, so this is not going to be a decal on this particular
Most of the sign will be painted.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are some raised panels that are going to be added to this, but most of the sign will be painted.
Why 2 inches? Why not an inch?
For structural stability.
Wind and so on.
Yeah, I mean, the sun, the UV light, and the sun baking on a wood like this, there's changes in moisture and humidity, and a sign like this could curl if it's not solid.
That's a heavy guy. Now, when you get the sign all done there, do you hire somebody to go out and put it up?
We'd like to, but no, we do all the work ourselves. We do the installation, so we'll make metal brackets for the ends here to attach the wood sign to, in this case, these will be steel poles, right. And we use decorative finials for the tops. And we'll dig the holes and set the posts and attach the sign.
So you can drive by your buddies and say, "Hey, I built that."
Yes, right? Exactly.
So you do the signs that have the vinyl covering on them. You do signs with relief work,
sandblasted and/or carved signs. Yes.
Right, and you do neon too.
We also do neon, and there are some examples of some neon we have in the back room here.
What a coincidence! Let's go take a look. Well, so here's this big, massive neon display thing here. Does this work? Can you plug this in?
Sure. It's ready to go.
Look at that! Isn't that pretty? What in the world is this thing, anyways? It's kind of hard. It looks like a flower garden or something.
Well, this is if you start at the bottom there. There's the tail. This is a neon chameleon.
Yeah, so little hands and so on.
Right.
Now, you made this?
This is a sign I've had in the shop that is mostly for display.
Okay.
It's this particular neon is made of mostly argon gases, right. and the argon tubes the colors are mostly the green, the purple, whites, and some pinks.
So you have different gases for different colors?
Right.
Okay.
Now neon tubes would be filled with neon gas, right. And they are the red, mostly red, orange, and pink, and that's pretty much what lights those.
There's an area right in here where it looks like the gas is going south. What is that?
Right. These are mercury deposits that stain the inside of the glass. There is a little bit of mercury in each argon tube. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they make deposits on the inside of the glass that stains it. So this is an older neon.
Are they long-lasting neon signs?
Neon signs, I've taken some down that have been up for over 30 years. So
really?
The neon, as long as the glass doesn't get broken, the neon just keeps on working.
And are they still popular?
They are. There are. It's maybe diminishing some. There are other ways of making a sign that's similar to this, mm-hmm. such as fiber optics and LEDs, which are challenging the neon industry at this point.
It's still pretty. It's still very, very nice. Our program tonight is all about communications. Obviously, you communicate with signs, but we're going to send you to Southampton, Massachusetts for a little bit to a place called the Crystal Parrot, and we're going to meet a lady and her parrots that talk, I guess. Do you speak parrot?
I don't. I only speak sign language.
Uh-huh. Boy, we're covering the gamut tonight, from telephones to parrots to Talkers Magazine, and of course signs here. We're back in Greenfield, and we've got Greg over here doing the work, and boss man Dan Hale is over here supervising. And this is the opposite side of the sign we saw early in the program, right?
It is.
And this is basically just it looks like a big decal. And he's pulling this thing off. Look at that. Now, is this the majority of your signs now, like this?
It's a portion
decals?
of it,
Yeah.
but it's not the majority. We certainly, as you know, we've done sandblasted signs and carved signs,
Now,
painted
wait a minute.
signs.
You're getting this wet here. What's going on, Dan?
This is going to help us to get correct registration on the sign blank that we have
Oh,
here.
I see.
So
It's
it
not
gives us a little bit of room to slide the
Won't
image
affect the
around.
glue.
Right.
Is this just a black lacquer paint you have on here?
It is. This is an
Well, look at that.
applied enamel.
And that matches up perfectly. What's the biggest sign you've ever made?
This past summer we did a billboard actually that was 10 by 40. So I'd say that probably was the biggest one I've done.
This is absolutely amazing. So a whole sign has been created in the time it took to watch making it here. Hey, thanks, Dan. I sure appreciate it very much. Greg's a good guy. You ought to keep him around for a while. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back again next week, and we're going to try to find a lot more interesting people, just like Dan and Greg, and they're all making it here. Sign me up. Yeah.